Next up, we will be making these raindrop studs or teardrop studs, which have a nice teardrop or raindrop shape attached to the stud post. We will again use the pencil to wrap the wire on to create the bottom of our teardrop. We will be also using the same brass wire in 20 gauge as well as our file, and we will use the wire cutters, the wire straightener, and the flat nose pliers. To begin, you know we always want to start off with a clean base, so we're going to use the wire straighteners and smooth out the wire. To begin making the earring, we will start by creating the post, and we will use the flat nose pliers to make the post, which is usually from 3/8 to 1/2 inch long. To create the post, all we have to do is hold the end of the wire in the needle nose pliers and then create a right angle in our wire. Now that we have made the post, we can begin creating the raindrop shape. To begin creating the raindrop shape, we will hold the wire against the pencil to wrap it around it. Depending on whether you want a long or a short raindrop will determine how far away from the pencil you hold the post of the earring. While you can straighten the raindrop after you finish wrapping it, if you hold the post while you are wrapping the wire around the pencil, you can avoid straightening it later. We will close off the teardrop by wrapping the long end around the post of the earring. Holding the teardrop shape tightly, we will wrap the long end of the wire to the back of the teardrop, bringing it all the way around to the other side. Keep in mind as you are wrapping that you want the long end of the wire to go over the top of the post earring. And then pulling it tightly at the end, we will use our wire cutters and cut it off flush against the post of the earring. You want to cut the wire short and up close to the teardrop shape so that it is as small as possible while still holding securely to the post. Now that we have cut off the excess wire, we will take the flat nose pliers and tighten the end of the wire against the post. Flattening it from the front, we will make sure that the end of that wire is securely under itself, and then while we have the flat nose pliers, we will also straighten the post itself to make sure that it is nice and square to the raindrop shape. Now that we have secured the end, you can see that the shape of our teardrop is a little bit crooked, so if you would like, you can place it back onto the pencil to round out the end and give it a more symmetrical look. Or if you would prefer, you can also use a pair of round nose or needle nose pliers to do the same thing of adjusting the shape. Now that we have completed creating the teardrop stud, we can finish off the earring by using our file and smoothing off the post of the earring to make sure it is nice and smooth and well rounded so that there are no sharp edges. When creating your second teardrop stud to make a matching set, we will be wrapping the wire in the opposite direction of the first one so that they are mirrored. So we will simply be repeating all of the same steps for creating the first earring, except that when we come to wrapping the wire on the pencil, we will be wrapping it in the opposite direction of the first earring. Here you can see the idea of wrapping the wire in the opposite direction so that they have a mirrored look. You probably will find it helpful to put the first earring back on the pencil. This allows you to have a more tangible idea of which way you need to wrap the wire, if you need to put the wire on the left or on the right side of the pencil. It will also allow you to wrap the wire into the same exact shape as the first earring, holding the base of the wire against the pencil so that the earring turns out the same size as the first one. With the wire shaped, we want to secure the end. Here I will be using the flat nose pliers instead of my fingers. Either way works. The idea is simply to keep the teardrop from losing its shape as you wrap the long end of the wire around the post. And when you bring the long end around, make sure that it is tight against the teardrop shape. With the long end tightened down, we can now cut off the excess wire with the wire cutters, cutting it flush against the teardrop shape. After trimming the excess, we will use the flat nose pliers to tighten down the end of the wire to make sure that it is flat against the teardrop shape and tight against the post. And now we have come to the final step of filing the post smooth. Here we have the completed studs wrapped in the opposite direction so that they are mirrored. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.